I had a few people tell me that they thought that I should do sort of a regular post about tattoos. I think it's kind of a great idea. It's the one thing I'm semi-knowledgeable on. I'm not even really that knowledgeable. Anyway, I have enough. I feel like I could get a few posts out of it. I was thinking maybe once a month. Maybe that feels like too much. Anyway, we'll see. If it feels like too much, you guys can say. If it feels like not enough, please say. I mean, I don't want to run out of topics. I feel like there's enough things to talk about, and I think there's enough interest in tattoos. It's funny because, you know, my first tattoo post was basically, this is it, here it is, this is all of it. It's the most vulnerable. I put myself out there. Yeah, I think I'll just, you know what, I'm gonna go back to the beginning, even though I stripped down and showed all of my tattoos. We'll go back and we'll start slow-ish. So I'm gonna talk about my first tattoo. The first two tattoos that I ever got. So when I was in high school, these girls that I went to high school with, I feel like they skipped school, or maybe that's in my imagination because it makes it more badass. I think that they skipped school one afternoon and they drove to sort of our nearest, small city. I grew up in a really small town, so anything sort of beyond that was big. And they drove there, and I don't know how, did you need to get, maybe you didn't need to get a parent to sign, or maybe they got their parents to sign. I don't know. It felt very bold, and it felt like they didn't have permission, but that maybe was just in my head. Anyway, they went off, they got tattoos, they came back. They were super teeny tiny, basically hidden. But I remember everyone kind of talked about it, and it was just cool, and felt like it was sort of like a rebel move. I'm not saying they were the catalyst for all of this, but I do think that it was at that moment that I was like, oh yeah, I think I want to have a tattoo. I knew my parents wouldn't like it, and I liked my parents, and I was also sort of a little bit scared of them. So I knew in my mind that I was never going to get it while I was still living under their roof. So I was going to wait until I was like officially an adult and had my own place. So on my 21st birthday, I was living in London, Ontario. I went to a tattoo shop that's not even there anymore. For years it hasn't been there. And I just went, it's like the only one that I knew of. I was super nervous. I went by myself and I walked in, and no appointment of course, and just picked Flash off the wall. I picked a sun because of course, and I put it on my ankle, obviously. So this is, okay, can we see it? Yeah, it's pretty bright, hold on. No, here we are. No, here we are. Where is it? Oh my gosh, I can't see it. Okay, so here it is in all its glory. That was originally a little face, and then we made it into a swirl. I'm not totally sure why, but there it is. That's number one. It was over pretty quickly, and I remember sort of loving the experience, and I couldn't stop staring at it. I loved it. But I feel like the weight of what I had done really hit me. I was seeing my mom over at my aunt and uncle's later that night for a little birthday dinner. I remember kind of freaking out as I was getting ready to go. But also in my mind thinking, this really should not be a big deal. And maybe thinking that she would be okay with it. It was the middle of summer because my birthday's in August, and it was hot. And so I thought I'd be funny and cute. I don't know. So I was wearing long army shorts. Hilariously, I'm in army pants today. I was wearing these long khaki, sort of green colored shorts. And I was wearing Birkenstocks because that was the uniform back then. I put on one wool sock and pulled it up over the tattoo. And then I just put a bare foot in the other Birkenstock. I don't know what I was thinking. Those might be the same Birkenstocks. I think my thought process was, she's gonna see that there's something and it'll be funny and hilarious, and my aunt and uncle are there, so she's not gonna yell at me. And anyway, I did something today. Yeah, nope, not a fan. And I've thought about covering it over the years or making it into something else, but I have a bit of a philosophy on that, in that this is sort of my yearbook, and I don't really intend, I've covered a few things, but I feel like from now on I'm just gonna leave them because everything sort of has a story. My second one was when I realized I was a feminist, and I didn't know that word up until then. That was not a word that existed in my world. As much as I believe I probably went to high school with feminists and they knew that, it was not something that was sort of on my radar. When I moved to London, a big city, and I met just the most amazing group of people in the restaurant that I worked at, And there was sort of this group of girls that were just like women power. They were going to school for women's studies. I didn't even know that was a thing. They introduced me to the Indigo Girls and Anya DeFranco and like all of this unbelievable music. That was a really special time in my life. So my second tattoo, fittingly, was the symbol, the gender symbol for woman. This is my symbol. I forgot about the little flower actually in the middle. It's held up well. I don't know why I chose green. You can see it, which is kind of nice. It's been incorporated into another tattoo, which I'm kind of glad that it still exists. So a sun on my ankle and the sign for woman on my hip. And they were both great experiences. Oh, and the one that I got done on my hip was done by a female tattoo artist, and I had never been to a female tattoo artist before. I thought that was amazing. And she was a bit of a niche at the time in London, the only female in this shop. I think it was actually her shop. And there I actually ended up meeting a very dear friend who I'm friends with now, who was a body piercer at the time and ended up giving me most of my piercings. So you know what? One step always sort of leads you to the next, and I think that I look back on all of them and they're also special to me. And yeah, so those are my first 2 tattoos. It's kind of fun. If there's a tattoo that you want me to talk about, or there's a story that you want to hear, because I have a million of them, about my tattoos, then let me know, and I'll try and do it. Okay, thanks.